United Nations Security Council adopt a resolution for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip presented by the United States. In Malawi, the presidential office warned off that the plane carrying the country's vice president, Saulos Chilima, and 9 other people disappeared after taking off from the Lilongwe airport. The revolutionary forces of Venezuela describe as extraordinary the 1x10x7 machinery check-up activity that was carried out throughout the country last Sunday with President Nicolás Maduro. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. The UN Security Council adopted a resolution for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip presented by the United States. More than 6 months after the beginning of the Israeli genocide, the United Nations approved for the first time a resolution calling for a ceasefire and stressing the urgent need to allow extensive vital aid for the famine which has begun to spread throughout Gaza. During a session of the UN Security Council, 14 members approved the resolution demanding the return of 130 hostages kidnapped in Israel and those held in Gaza. And in this context, the Palestinian movement Hamas welcomed through an official statement issued on Monday the resolution adopted by the UN Security Council, which calls for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and a complete withdrawal of the troops from the enclave. The resolution also called for the exchange of Israeli and Palestinian prisoners, the reconstruction of the destroyed areas in Gaza, the return of the displaced to their homes, and the rejection of any demographic changes, transformation or reduction of the territory of the Gaza Strip, as well as the provision of the necessary assistance to the Palestinians. Hamas also emphasized the readiness of its movement to initiate indirect negotiations to implement the points mentioned in the aforementioned resolution. Also in Palestine, human rights organizations denounced that Israel is killing a rate of 2,000 Palestinians per month in an aggression against the Gaza Strip. According to the data published by these organizations, 3,163 Palestinians were killed in February, 2,790 in March, 1,788 in April, and 1,780 in May. Meanwhile, according to the most recent data recovered in the period from June 4 to the 9th, 2024, 605 murders were recorded. And the government of South Africa condemned on Monday the massacre committed by Israeli forces against the Nusra refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. South African authorities denounced that the attack against innocent civilians in an area qualified as safe is one of the worst massacres committed by the Israeli occupation forces against the Strip. Pretoria expressed its disagreement with some countries that praise Tel Aviv for killing hundreds of civilians in order to rescue 4 Israeli prisoners. Health authorities in central Gaza warns that Al-Aqsa and Nasser Hospital are at the limit of their capacities as they try to treat nearly 700 civilians wounded by the attack against the refugee camp. In Israel, recent polls showed that 62% of the population intending to vote will not cast their votes to any political party that supports Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In this regard, another results of the polls showed that 56% supports the hostages from both states. The surveyed photo reveals that 75% of respondents did not favor the government policies regarding evacuations on the border with the Gaza Strip and Lebanon. These polls also show that 56% of those polls support the U.S. government proposal for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of the hostages. This compared to the 24% who opposed the second phase initiative regarding a total cessation of hostilities and the withdrawal of the occupation forces. For their part, 72% of the survey participants said they strongly disagree with the Israeli government's treatment of the hostages' families and the border evacuations. In Yemen, security services communicate through a press conference a discovery of a U.S.-Israeli espionage network operating in several institutions in the country since 2015. During the conference, it was revealed that the network gathered important information in various files to provide it to the enemy's intelligence services. Similarly, the Yemeni security services know that the spy network sought to undermine health in the country by spreading epidemics and attacking education. The U.S.-Israeli spy network in turn carried out intelligence activities directed at the military and manufacturing capabilities of the country's armed forces. Egypt's leading English language newspapers, Daily News Egypt, and Latin American television networks teleSUR announced today a groundbreaking media partnership aimed at fostering cross-continental news exchange and collaboration. The landmark agreement outlines a comprehensive framework of reciprocal exchange and broadcast of television programs, the sharing of new content, and mutual access to media resources. The partnership aims to enrich the news landscapes of both regions by providing diverse perspective and in-depth coverage of global events. Daily News Egypt will have access to teleSUR's extensive library of audiovisual material, including press releases, video interviews, documentaries, and other news contexts. In turn, teleSUR will be able to utilize news content and programs produced by Daily News Egypt, further diversifying its programming and expanding its global reach. This historic partnership is expected to set a new precedent for media collaboration across continents, fostering greater understanding and cooperation between Middle East, North Africa, and Latin America. Daily News Egypt is a partner of TV Bricks and Xinhua News Agency. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. The Ukrainian army carried out its first attacks with Western weapons against internationally recognized Russian territory. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the attack was perpetrated against the Belgorod region with Ukrainian anti-ship missiles. This will be the first air attack against Russian territory using Western weaponry after having received the permission of several of these nations. In Russia, the first meeting of the foreign ministers of the BRICS and BRICS Plus members countries has already started. In this context, during his speech at the BRICS events, Russian top diplomat Sergei Lavrov emphasized that it is stating growth of the circle of the BRICS partners.
We have a special responsibility to pay attention to foreign policy coordination, first of all in the UN and its Security Council, the BRICS, the SCO, the G20, the APEC, and other multilateral platforms. Our position with our Chinese friends is seen more and more positively by the leading countries of the world. Our circle of partners is constantly growing. The circle of those who want to cooperate with both the BRICS and the SCO is increasing.
Lavrov also said that the BRICS Foreign Ministers Summit meeting was working to improve the international monetary and financial system.
The Russian chairmanship is moving ahead at a good pace. Some 70 events have already taken place and more are still to come. We have noted the constructive participation of all partners in them. Work has started on key Russian initiatives in the transport sector, the creation of a contact group on climate and sustainable development, a working group on nuclear medicine, and a medical association. Work is also being actively done on implementing the decisions of last year's Johannesburg summit, in particular with regard to improving the international monetary and financial systems and to developing a national currency settlement platform for mutual trade.
In Malawi, the presidential office warns of that the plane carrying the country's vice president Saulos Chilima and 9 other people disappeared after taking off from Lincoln Airport. The president, Lazarus Chakwera, ordered a search operation because the military plane disappeared from the radars and communications efforts failed. The plane was supposed to land at the Mzuzu International Airport in the north of the country, but so far they have not been able to find it. In the Korean Peninsula, tensions between the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and South Korea could scale as the exchange of propaganda material and balloons containing garbage continues. After that, the rupture of the 2018 rapprochement agreement, Seoul and Pyongyang have raised the level of awareness and exchange of hostile materials. In this regard, on Monday, the Workers' Party deputy Kim Yong-yong warned that further measures will be taken if the South continues its loudspeakers broadcasts and propaganda leftist hatred of recent weeks, to which the northern nation has responded by sending balloons carrying trash across the border. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Venezuela, the Vice President of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, led a debate on political organizations with members of the Great Patriotic Pole. Cabello points out that this party is a great political force and called it the vanguard of the Bolivarian Revolution, with presence in all of the municipalities and parishes of Venezuela. During his speech, Cabello also rejected the destabilization attempts orchestrated by the extreme right wing and its aggressions against the sovereignty of the country.
What is certain is that for this election of July 28th, we have one candidate, our brother Nicolás Maduro, president of the party, supported by 13 political organizations grouped in what we call the Great Patriotic Pole. Where the traditional leftist parties of Venezuela are together with other groups and social movements, a great political force. We have the president, only one candidate, and they have 9 candidates.
In this context, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela described as extraordinary the revisions date of the 1x10 electoral machinery held on Sundays throughout the national territory in the preparation for the presidential elections of July 28, 2024.
We move now from the 1x10 machinery plus the 5x5 machinery to the 1x10x7. And now we have included the mission bases, the missions and the grade missions. That is to say, the missions, the grade missions, and the mission bases. And the original peoples were now included as one of the pillars of this 1x10x7, which enigmatically adds up to 70, which is the 70th anniversary of Commander Hugo Chavez on July 28th.
In his speech, the Vice President of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, stated that they will guarantee a perfect electoral victory and a peaceful presidential elections on July 28, 2024.
Our response will be to ensure the perfect victory before, during, and after. A perfect victory includes a fundamental component. It must be overwhelming, victorious, a victory in every possible way, and then to guarantee peace. We will guarantee peace after the 28th. Well, not only after the 28th, also before. We will not allow violence, nor guarimbas, nor calls for hatred, no demonstrations calling for hatred against any person, nor against any institution. We will not allow it.
The one-time same electoral strategy consists in the creation of electoral super networks where the Chavista people commit themselves to guarantee the attendance of the voters to the electoral process. According to the Great Patriotic Poll, these organizational structures must comply with 3 steps. First, the mobilizers must go house by house in their communities to explain the reasons why people should vote for the revolutionary forces. In the second step, the 1 by 10 members should convince voters through examples. And thirdly, these voters must be organized so that they go to exercise the right of vote in their respective polling stations and guarantee victory on July the 28th. Now in Chile, the mayor of Recoleta, Daniel Jadue, appealed the preventive imprisonment dictated against him after being formalized for crimes of bribery, disloyal administration, tax fraud, concealment of assets, and swindling. In this sense, the mayor's lawyers, Ramon Sepulveda, failed the rescuers before the Court of Appeals of Santiago. Through the document, the defenders state that the current precautionary measures is unjustified and disproportionate since Jadue fails to meet the requirement to be detained and requests the Court of Appeals to revoke the preventive detention.
This is how Daniel Jadue arrived, calm and confident, to hear the precautionary measures, surrounded by supporters who once again accompanied him, because there were 3 long days in this formalization process through which he was charged with fraud, unfair administration, bribery, and tax fraud. Most of the accusations will have occurred during the pandemic in his role as mayor of the commune of Recoleta, but also as director of the Chilean Association of Popular Pharmacies, ASHIFAR. Some suppliers will have initiated the complaints, but only now the case is breaking out. The press warned about it years ago, echoing the voices of the business community. This was the headline of Chilevisión in 2021.
2 weeks ago, the president of the CPC called Popular Pharmacies a failure.
And of course, what businessmen would like if people organize themselves to skip the middleman and cut costs? This is part of what the Popular Pharmacies did. The first one in 2015 was in the commune of Recoleta, and the idea came from Daniel Jadue, its mayor. Dozens of municipalities quickly joined until the ASHIFAR Association was formed. Here Daniel Jadue at its creation.
This has been a very important step. I believe we are changing history.
Thousands of people benefited for almost 10 years from its model. That is here to say, ASHIFAR had more than 120 associated municipalities, and the gratitude for this fruitful idea can be seen in the support that Daniel Jadue received today. Before being remanded in custody, he said,
I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the support of all the people, because everything we did with this, with ASHIFAR, even if it bothers many, we try to take care of people's health, and the mistakes we may have made are far from being a crime.
However, the Third Warranty Court decided to give the highest precautionary measure to the mayor and one of his collaborators, total preventive imprisonment, considering that his freedom is a risk since he is in office as mayor and could alter the course of the investigation that will last 120 days.
Oscar Daniel Jadue and José Matías Muñoz Becerra will be remained in custody and, consequently, they are ordered to be taken into custody.
Handcuffed, Daniel Jadue was immediately taken behind bars. His lawyer announced that they will appeal the precautionary measure.
We believe that this resolution is unjust and disproportionate concerning the crimes with which the mayor of Recoleta has been charged.
The support of the Community Party and other conglomerates was not long in coming.
The trial comes tomorrow. He's dismissed. He will have to endure a number of days of deprivation of liberty. That is like the tip of the end.
The use of justice from a political point of view is known as lawfare. In this case, I have no doubt that it is evident that the precautionary measures have been decreed to take the Mayor Halde, into custody. The support of the Communist Party and other conglomerates was not long in coming.
The defense has 5 days to appeal, although the investigation has just begun. The truth is that these days were more likely a trial than just a formalization.
Paula Dragnik, TeleSUR, Chile.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.